So Shirley, why are the students' unions important for your role as a Vice-Chancellor?
Yes, so the Students' Union play a fundamentally important role in supporting the senior managers of the university to really understand what matters to the students. And they provide a role that is different than any other part of a person's role or a whole person's role or even a department in the university. They occupy a unique position in being able to act as advocates for the students, to empower the student voice, and to really provide a bridge between the senior managers and the student body at large. And also to be able to help us understand the best ways of working with students, to involve more of them all of the time, year on year, in the planning and the strategic development of the university.
So I think you kind of covered this a little bit, but maybe we could talk maybe like a bit more role specific. How important is a good relationship with the union's sabbatical team?
Well, yeah, I think, you know, what I said before about the important role that the Students' Union plays, it probably is only as good as the relationship with the university and the senior managers. And by senior managers, I'm also sort of including not just the executive team, but the associate deans and the programme leaders, etc. So I think if the Students' Union have got a good relationship with the executive team and the university's council itself, it means that we're able to have open and honest conversations and operate from a position of trust. And that can be very, very difficult to achieve. And it does mean that the Students' Union have got to be able to challenge the executive team in a way that allows the executive team to also challenge back. So it's almost sort of like a positive but critical challenging relationship that you need to develop, and it's got to be based, as I said, on trust. And with that comes respect. And through that, you get much better understanding of what the student body needs and thinks and desires. Doesn't mean we can give the student body everything it desires, but it helps us to understand where we should be developing.
So in the past year, myself as a sabbatical officer, I've seen strikes, and I've seen all the changes that happened due to coronavirus. So what impacted the sabbatical officers, or what changes did we help you guys make throughout those two events that were going on in the university?
So let's take the strikes first, which were very, very difficult time for everybody, for the students in particular, and for staff who weren't striking, well, and for staff who were striking as well. But I think what you helped us to do was to convene the student body in the right way, with the right people there, so we could listen to what their concerns were, and you were able to amplify the students' views in a positive and a professional way that allowed us to understand it without anybody getting too heated about it. And with the coronavirus, I think the one thing out of many that stands out for me is the role that the Students' Union played in ensuring we got the communications to students right. So every time we might produce some communication for students, whether that, especially the written communication, we'd always run it by you or one of your colleagues and say, can you tell us what you think about this? And invariably you'd come back and you go, it's too long, it's too complicated, and it's not, therefore it's not direct enough. And we always went back and modified it and tried to make it more accessible for students. And I think as well, you've helped us to introduce more modern ways of communicating with students. And even though we might have been a bit nervous of getting on Instagram Live and Facebook Live sessions with students, you encouraged us to do it, and hopefully we rose to the challenge.
Yeah, you've definitely, like, you were put under a lot of pressure with no practice. I know we threw you in the deep end in the first Instagram live, but I've got to say you've definitely handled it really well. So this one's a little bit more based around community and activities role. Something that was introduced by Inshal this year was the buddy scheme. How important do you think a scheme like this is in our current climate?
Yeah, well, very, very important, because, you know, I really understand the experiences that the students have had this year has been very different. Not being able to be with their friendship groups, not being able to maybe travel home if they lived further than our local region, international students not being able to get home, people isolating. And I think that anything that allows the students to have somebody to talk to, or for them to be able to listen to other views and perspectives and feel supported, can only add value. And obviously we've seen across the country a lot of students experiencing more loneliness and anxiety and mental health problems during the COVID pandemic, and buddy schemes and all of the things you've done online have really helped the students to cope.
So one big thing in the Students' Union is campaigns, and I know in the past students have like blown up the campaigns so much so that they've ended up like traveling out to those countries like Palestine, for example, and really getting their voice heard across like internationally, not even just within the walls of Bradford Uni. So how far does the student voice actually go, and how important is it, not even just in the university, but in the Bradford community and worldwide?
So I would be very, very supportive of the students' voice being much more impactful outside the university, in the city region and beyond, including, you know, across the globe, as you say, because in many respects that student's voice is an advocate for the power of students, which is really important. Students need to feel empowered. You know, I'm a big campaigner for social mobility. And social mobility and getting our students into positions where they can speak out is one of the fundamental things that you need to be able to do to be confident and empowered, to be able to raise your own voice and amplify the voice of others. So the bigger the platform we can get for our students, the more likely they are going to be able to use that to transfer that into their own skills. And they're also advocates for Bradford, for the university and for the city. And, you know, we want our students to be proud of our city region.
This is now, we've got a sports question next. How big is the impact of sports on the student experience?
I'm glad you didn't ask me about a score on a football match there. So sports, right? All of the sports sabbatical officers that I've worked with have really understood the importance of sport to health and well-being. So it's not just about a hobby, which is really important, but it's about that sort of mental stability and physical fitness, which is about holistic health that sport can bring. And teamwork is a really important part of sport. And if we can get more of our students involved in teamwork, then we're going to do more again to equip them with another sort of tool in their toolkit. So we've got the academic, the professional, the campaigning and the sports all going together to really add value to the student experience.
What do you think the university would look like without a sabbatical team?
Oh, wow, no one's ever asked me that. Well, I think it would definitely be a university that wasn't as vibrant. It would be a university that didn't have as many opportunities for the students to do. I think the Students' Union are in touch with the students' preferences in a way that the leadership team aren't. And so that a good Students' Union, and I think Bradford's the best, does create opportunities that wouldn't be there if that union wasn't there. And I think that's why I can't see a time when at Bradford we wouldn't be trying our best to support students' unions to become more stronger.
Can you think of any big changes that students have made across the years? Like, I think I know one where they made the library 24 hours a day. Like, that was a student change made by a Vice-Chancellor officer. Can you think of any more of that students have done?
They did. Well, we are using lecture capture now. A lot of it because of the pandemic, but the students pushed and pushed and pushed for us to start using lecture capture, and the result of that was we started piling it, and now obviously we've rolled it out faster than we would have done because of COVID, but that will never go away now. I can remember one of the sabbatical officers campaigning successfully to not sell newspapers that page 3, where they would have I don't know how to describe this really, but images of women that were less than modest.
Okay.
And she successfully got those banned off campus, rightly so. We've had students' unions that have campaigned to make sure that we were fair trade, and we're reigniting that fair trade work now. We've had student union officers that started off work on the BME attainment gap, and started to help us understand the importance of having conversations about that. We've had students that campaigned to get the mugger pictures, the mugger pictures that we've got now. We didn't have that. That was a student union initiative. The room, the PGR lounge was campaigned for by Students' Union. So I would say every year there isn't a year that goes by when the Students' Union don't make a positive impact on enhancing the offer for students. I mean, I'm really keen that we get a lot of people interested in wanting to run for the sabbatical posts. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, I know you want to encourage that as well, but what puts people off being a sabbatical officer, do you think?
I think people who have the careers, like a career set in mind, like they don't want to take a year out. So like a few people who I've came across who were interested in the role, they were just eager to move on. They were like, oh, we don't want to, they see it as wasting a year. They don't want to waste a year, or they don't want to fall behind maybe, especially if it's to take a gap within their studies and not after they've graduated. Usually they think about them falling behind, but I feel like those students who have a deeper understanding of what the sabbatical role entails and if they've seen people grow throughout the role, they can see that it's not a loss, or it's not you falling behind in any sort of way. It's you gaining different skills. It's like being a sabbatical officer, you're being put at the top of an organization, even like when you've got no experience, and you don't really see that in any other organization. It's something that's very unique to students' unions, and putting students at the lead, it's having those people with fresh ideas, something that's new, and in every single students' union you'll always see something different. And I feel like when students will see that side of it, they will be more inclined to sign up to be a sabbatical officer. That's definitely something that interested me myself and made me sign up for the role. But yeah, I usually think it's those students who are set on what they want to get in the future and don't really want to take any other like side route, I guess.
Yeah, and what you're saying is that year of engaging in a very, very different way with different people and working at really an executive level, that year's probably, quite precious really when you think about it, the impact that it could have. And we're in a meeting later today with one of our MPs from Bradford, aren't we? Which wouldn't have happened if you weren't having your sabbatical time.
Yeah, it wouldn't even cross my mind to like even engage with an MP, and it wouldn't even have interested me to think. But now, especially in these times where these are the people who can make change, and we're also part of that process, I actually feel honored that I can speak up for thousands of students and try to get them change and try to speak up for their rights and what they want.
Yeah, so I would encourage people to consider it, because it will be an experience that you will never be able to replicate, I think, in the whole of your life. To be a student and be able to take on a sabbatical role means that you will be working to influence how the university functions in every aspect of its business, teaching and learning, back office functions, the estates, the infrastructure, the IT. You will have a seat on our university committees, and you will work closely with myself and my senior team to make enhancements in the year that you are in the role of the sabbatical officer. And you will certainly experience something where you are really valued as a colleague, as a wise counsellor, as a friend, as a critiquer, and as really a major ambassador for the students.